Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from AlexMercedCoder.com with another update to MercedUI. Okay, and as you've been watching these videos, I've only been adding features. I haven't, and making fixes to the features that exist. I haven't actually, so once I've done a video on something, that's the way that works. If I want it to work a different way, I'm going to make another, add a function, add a class. So that way, if you want to use the old way or use the alternative way of something working, you have those tools available to you. So to recap, I've created a rotator. Rotator is essentially the MercedUI version of a router. It rotates between different views. The original rotator, so basically the way the rotator works, let me go to the README. The way the rotator works is that you run the rotator and you're going to pass it some arguments and it returns you a function that allows you to rotate. The original rotator, you pass it an object that had a bunch of different template strings as properties, and then you would pass it which DOM element you want to link it to. And basically every time you would run that function that it gives back to you, you would just give it a string with the name of the template you want to use, and it would just render that template. But since it wasn't necessarily recreating the template was static. So then I created createBuildRotator. And BuildRotator allowed you, instead of having an object filled with template strings, it allowed you to have builder functions that would build your template when the function's invoked. So in that case, every time you would use the rotator worked the same way, except now when you pass in the string, it would then invoke the function that's located in the object and rebuild that template. So that way, as data changes, the template changes. But, part of this library is to create components. So it'd be nice to have a rotator, some sort of way to switch between sort of components in a particular view, instead of just having to create these builder functions or template strings. So I created createCompRotator. So in this version of the rotator, okay, so let me go to the code. Here I created 3 components, 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And then here I create my rotator. So in this case, you only pass one argument. So I don't need to pass an object with these components in it. Okay. Instead, I just do createCompRotator and say, hey, attach this rotator to the div, this particular div. There's only one div I have. So in that case, every time I use this function rotator, it's going to render whatever component I want to that element. So then here I have buttons, and when you click the button, it runs the rotator function. And it takes 2 arguments when you're using CompRotator. And it takes a string that tells it which component to render, and then a second argument that's a string with any attributes you want to add. So if you were using like props or anything like that, this is where you would kind of define that. Okay? And you can do it here, or you can do it in your JavaScript, but the idea is you have this function and you can do that rotation. So let's show you it working. So here, let me refresh the page. I click 1. And there goes 1. And then if I click over here in the inspector, I go to div, and see there, there's the test1 component with the ID of 1, then 2, and 3. Okay, so it works. So you can now kind of have a router-like thing, which is the rotator, that can rotate between components now. So you can rotate between static template strings, between template builder functions, or between components with the 3 different rotators. So I hope you guys enjoy that. Make use of the MercedUI library. If you guys have any requests for features in the library, I'm always glad to add more. So just shoot me a message. Have a great day and enjoy.